Hey paisanos, it's Tarnished Dragon here. Elden Ring is a hack and slash pain simulator where you play as the Tarnished, an exiled individual whose veins are filled with G Fuel and their urethra is rammed full of kidney stones. With that diet, even after being beaten to an inch of their life, the Tarnished is too motivated to die because they are on a quest to beat down every single pompous demigod that squabbles over some broken ring and to become the Lord of medieval Detroit. My journey through Elden Ring was not a lonely one, for I had the power of waifus and brothers at my behest. Let me introduce you to the Fellowship. First up is our man, Platypus. Platypus is a semi-exotic crit-laying Tarnished of action. He's a squirrely little warrior who will never flinch from a fray. He's got more than just mad skill. He's got daggers, claws, and a shield, and the maidens swoon whenever they hear him say, "Meet Harry." Harry, the Platypus. Platypus is a man who spec'd everything into parrying, and he's the one to fill our dark souls with light. Whenever he lands a nasty parry, all I have to say is, something is rising, and it's definitely not the shield hero. Platypus is our jack of all trades, master of one, the foremost expert on backshots, and the very prestigious Don Perignon. Next is our man, Kumbushido. Kumbushido is a samurai whose skill with the blade is unmatched. There is no one else in the lands between who understands just how to handle a shaft, and with such a divine grasp. Many swordsmen live and die by the blade, carving their legacy through flesh and bone, all to be forgotten where blood roses grow. However, he is the exception. Kumbushido hails from a long lineage of legendary warriors. These warriors have cemented themselves in history as some of the greatest swordsmen to have ever lived. One such legendary swordsman is the Samurai of Seattle, the one who refused to part with his blade after being bribed with the greatest riches known to mankind, $50 and a Big Mac, after which he stood for 11 hours against his aggressors, even resisting rib-breaking beanbag rounds to his other sword and literal war crime level pepper spray. And also, who could forget another divine swordsman, Amabatu Khan, a warrior who's the master of one-handed blade work and whose battle cry about the dream of bulls echoes throughout heaven and earth. In short, Kumbushido's blade skills are truly a work of art. Only those who spend their life studying the blade in place of chasing frivolous endeavors could ever understand just how peerless his skill is. Lastly, my character, Robert Sapp. Robert is the vagabond of the trio, a warrior who's been exiled from his homeland because he was deemed too strong, and upon being called not natty, he was insulted and began eating their pancreases right from their sides. I'd like to clarify though, that Robert is not a cannibal. He's just proving a point that all he ate was natural. Robert is a monster of a man. His body is the pinnacle of strength, and his mighty oak tree figure is only kept because of his vigorous diet of horse beef and 5 dozen eggs. Now, some of you acute viewers may have made some connection to Bob Sapp of our world. Robert Sapp is a very, very distant relative of Bob Sapp. Being from the same house, Robert shares many of the attributes of his distant relative. In House Sapp, the key attributes are strength, vitality, and overwhelming power, all of which Robert Sapp embodies. After all, if a problem can be solved by just slamming a really heavy club into it, does it really need any fancy magic for the solution? The answer is no, just big stick, hit hard, thing die, or I die. Boonga boonga. Now, with the introductions finished, I'd like to welcome you to our feature presentation. Without further ado, I welcome you to our journey as a trio to claiming the Elden Ring. Our journey begins where all journeys end. Death. After suffering from what seems like a moderate concussion, we begin to hallucinate Epona and Milan. This, of course, is a side effect of having our brains scrambled by a living Beyblade. After which, we awaken to find that our horse girl waifu has disappeared and we're left to wonder, was she real at all? Or were we just gooning too hard in our imagination? Regardless of the enigmatic machinations of our mind, we decided to venture to the first bonfire and gather ourselves for the journey ahead. Overjoyed at the melding of planes, we could not contain ourselves as we celebrated by repressing the local peasantry and showing them the violence inherent in the system. Even the main protagonist, known as the Soldier of Godrick, was not safe from our celebratory beatings. He learned firsthand that being a protagonist with no friends means you either have to be a legendary warrior or have some friends. After not knowing what an elevator in Elden Ring is, and then proceeding to try and figure out how the elevator worked, we finally made it to the lands between, and were greeted by the most magnificent view of the pulchritudinous Erdtree. While we knew not where to go, the Erdtree was always looming in our sights, almost as if guiding us towards our next steps, and our next foe. The Tree Sentinel is the cock of the walk. He struts around as if he owns the place. The Tree Sentinel is one of the first optional bosses in Elden Ring, and when I say optional, what I really mean is by not engaging with him, you've effectively let the Tree Sentinel strut around with his smug aura, letting the world know that it smells like bitch up in here, and you're the reason why. So, you optionally have the choice to defend your honor by giving him the hardest gang jumping known to mankind, or letting him tarnish your reputation all throughout the lands between. For us, he was our first vibe check, saying to us, if you think you're hot shit because you bested the Soldier of Godrick, you'd best start getting good. I'm not proud to admit it, we had to do what I call a tactical retreat to get good before showing him who the new boys in town were. Once our mighty Mr. Hands was defeated, we didn't know where to go. We simply followed the trail of boyos who wanted a piece of the new kids on the block. This led us to the mouth of Stormvale Castle, where we were approached by an e-girl who offers us a binding vow. Simply bring her to the foot of the Erdtree, and she'll be our Discord kitten. Additionally, for the low price of the blood of our enemies, we received the latest edition of Gamer Subs using code Torrent. Now with the constant supply of Gamer Subs invigorating our veins, our blood pumped even faster, and our limbs had no choice but to obey. Our bloodlust could not be sated, and more fell on our journey towards Stormvale Castle. But we were about to face our first monumental challenge.
In search of the Elden Ring. Emboldened by the flame of ambition.
Remember when I said the Tree Sentinel was the vibe check boss? Well, now you meet the real vibe check boss, Margit, the Fell Omen. Margit has many names around these lands. Some call him Margit the Fell. Others call him the Vibe Check Boss. However, he goes by one true name, and that name is a pimp called Slickback. Margit houses all the qualities of the one true pimp. I'll give you the abbreviated version for brevity's sake. Quality 1. Impeccable drip. You can't call yourself the lord of anything without your pimp coat and pimp hat. While I'm fairly certain his horns are a part of his head, they are a demonstration of just how dedicated he is to the pimping life. His coat doesn't leave his person, his horns are his hat, and the hat stays on at all times. Quality 2. He's got an entire operation. You might think that pimps only have bitches and hoes, but that's not quite right. Pimps manage an entire financial operation with people as its resource. And, last I checked, Margit's got a whole army out there willing to fight you to their deaths. One could argue that those are his bitches and hoes. Quality 3. He's got mad trash talk. Margit's WWE entrance starts with him talking mad trash to us, calling us foul and telling us to stop playing the game. After dishing out some damage, he trash talks us even more by telling us we're not too bad, but we forgot to ask if he even gave a shit. He also talks the maddest trash when he beats the holy hell out of you, boldly saying go back to the tutorial. And lastly, quality 4. He's got the backhand. Now, Margit is different from regular pimps. Most of them use their dorsal side to achieve the backhand technique, but Margit is beyond that. He has evolved to include the backhand in all of his techniques. Margit uses a variety of techniques to put in place any would-be ambitious tarnish. He's got the tail backhand, the shanking backhand, the backhand from the heavens, and his most favorite move, the wind-up pimp cane backhand. Truly, all divine techniques among pimps. For us, Margit took a real long time to defeat. He was the first real obstacle in our path, and some of the most fun I've had in Elden Ring. I think it took about 2 hours in total to beat Margit, and each time we lost, I didn't feel mad. I just felt that I had to get better. For us, Margit was our Thanos, our Mad Titan. Each time we died, we came back to the fog wall and gave him the Avengers line.
Let's kill him properly this time.
We felt like Thor, Iron Man, and Captain America going for a 3v1 fight to reclaim the Infinity Stones, and damn did it feel good to finally beat him. After the duel of the century with the Divine Pimp, we decided to explore the lands between before proceeding forward into Stormveil Castle. A brief summary as follows. We jumped a spooky scary skeleton in a boat on a serene fishing trip with his extended family because they were overfishing. After which we got the Skelly Boys summoned. Keep this in mind for later. We met whoever this edgelord is. We found this weird oversized rock guy. We came across the most chill crow just hanging out around the never mind the most aggressive no-chill bird I've ever met in my life. This weird-ass Anubian security guard goes from 0 to 100 in a flash, almost like he spends the majority of his time watching everyone who walks by, waiting for anything to happen, and the moment you accidentally bump his pinky toe, he decides that it's kindred time and he kindreds all over you. And then ankle broke the worst bridge guard I've ever met in my life. Seriously, I think the spooky scary skeleton boat guy would do a better job. After which we returned to Stormveil Castle, or what I like to refer to as the Gunner Castle. This place is riddled with all sorts of weird ass people. We've got the Proud Gunners, the Unproud Gunners, the I don't wanna touch grass Gunners, the Smash Tournament Gunners, the Synthol Gunners, and last but not least, the Pony Jar Projects.
Mighty dragon, thou the true born heir. Lend me thy strength, O kindred. Deliver me unto greater heights.
Meet Godrick, the Lord of Gunners. Godrick the Gunner is an absolute force to be reckoned with. I'm just kidding. This guy was 100% a weenie boy. This guy poses like he's some sort of unstoppable king, but he's pretty much just a roly-poly Beyblade. This man added so many hands on him that it would make Kira Yoshikage nut harder than that one meme from that dogshit manga. Godrick's whole gimmick is that he's so weak compared to the other demigods that he has to resort to grafting limbs on himself to become more powerful. But I know the truth. This man wants more arms, not for power, but for pleasure. All he wants to do is goon in his cave with his scaly friend. I mean, look at that massive arm of his. Ain't no way that man does forearm workouts all day in his castle to become stronger than the other demigods. Nay, he wanted more arms to achieve gooning nirvana. When he adapts to one of his hands, he employs the Stranger technique, where he uses one of his newly grafted hands to give himself new sensations to keep himself edged beyond belief. Truly a divine technique. His boss battle was unfortunately really disappointing. We mollywopped him so hard that his second phase, where he performs mid-battle surgery to become a living flamethrower, was skipped entirely. The boys had never seen the cutscene before, and I was really disappointed to not be able to fight the living flesh Gundam.
But that was it?
There was supposed to be a second phase. After leaving the Gooning Castle, we made sure to wash ourselves thoroughly with cold water. Riding high off our easy win against the Gooning Lord, we did what any reasonable individuals would do after a hard stomping of a weak boss. We decided to chase that feeling again and again. The Mausoleum Knight was our first victim. The only crime he committed was trying to look cool. This knight was standing out there, menacingly, inviting all to challenge him before proceeding forward. Our first fight with him caught us by surprise, with him instant transmissioning all over us. But this just emboldened our egos. Or after we defeated him, he would know torment over and over again. And this wasn't just a few minutes of playtime. No, we spent an unhealthy amount of time beating this knight to a bloody pulp just because it was fun. The boss the Mausoleum Knight was guarding was an absolute weenie boy. The Cemetery Shade is like that one kid who watched too much anime and decided to Naruto run all over the gym. We noticed the Shade was becoming too edgy, so we promptly decided to put an end to his edgelord phase by giving him the old locker shoving treatment. I'm not gonna lie, I wish I had more footage of this boss, but he quite literally died in less than a minute. The Magma Worm was next on our list, and we hadn't expected to fight this weird frog salamander thing. Oh, it's a dragon. Oh, help! I'm sure there's some lore implication as to why this creature looks like the black rain frog, but I was both simultaneously in awe and not able to take this pseudo-dragon seriously, as they look like a giant lizard that would cleave you in two, but also it would belly flop everywhere and vomit around the arena like a university student after a kegger party. Not really much to say. It was a pretty fun boss fight. Let's go! Now, the last jobbers I want to talk about before our next major boss battle were the WWE Tag Team Boys. These two jabronis stood atop their set piece, awaiting us after our previous battle with the Magma Worm. Coming hot out of the fight, we weren't expecting anything special from the jabronis, but then from the top turnbuckle came the first jabroni, and right then and there, we knew we had to take some time to fight these guys more than once. The jabronis became our training arc. We got an in-depth lesson about the various WWE moves like the clothesline, the lick my foot fungus, the people's axe, the flying rikishi, the sneeko, and my favorite, I got a Glock in my Rari. Truly, these brothers all had divine techniques. We were riding extremely high after all of our locker shovings, but this next individual, however, would push us beyond any means of reverting back to our humble selves. The invisible Black Knife Assassin is the same type of goober to pick the most min-max ability in the game, spam that ability without any intellectual thought, and then Fortnite emote on your lifeless corpse as if they achieved the pinnacle of skilled gaming. Similar to Filthy Magic You, this boss was one of the most frustrating bosses, to the point that we weren't having any more fun. We were tired of switching up our equipment, our battle plans, and trying to find out what the gimmick was, and still having our booties plundered over and over. We were desperate to curb stomp this boss so we could move on with our lives. However, through adversity comes inspiration. In a moment of seething rage, clarity had struck. We came up with a plan. We had to call for help. Meet our homies, the Bone Zone. If we had a problem, they were the solution. Being a rat made this boss way too comfortable with disrespecting people and not getting hit in the face. So we summoned the homies, and I'll just let you watch one of the dirtiest hood jumpings I've ever seen in my life. Was this a fairly beat boss battle? No, absolutely not. Though we weren't about to leave the area for the invisibility torch like little weenie boys. No, in the moment, it just made the most sense that this guy needed to get jumped right here and right now by the Bone Zone to learn some respect. If he wanted to cheese, we were gonna take our own cheese and ram it right down his throat. While all the previous bosses we had faced had truly divine techniques, this assassin posed as the supreme one among assassins. But he was nothing more than a fraud, who without his invisibility would have been just a jobber compared to the other boss in the same place. After our bout with the Weenie Boy assassin, it was time to acquaint ourselves with some of the locals of the Altus Plateau. Yep, This place was definitely a difficulty tweak, but not everything was crippling lightning and ass-blasting darkness. We also came across the local Shungite den and their prime addicts, Orthrisha and Shoes. I got a healthy dose of Shungite right in my lungs, and immediately got jumped by the tweaked out Schizo chimp for taking a huff of his rocks. It's alright though, because we gave them a taste of our most recent stimulant. Afterwards, we raided a caravan and found a weapon that would forever change Robert Sapp. It was a new path forward, a revelation.
Fast as fuck, boy.
The Great Star christened him, and Robert Sapp's new fighting style was henceforth the come on and slam and welcome to the jam. While the Great Star had been tested with the blood of enemies and the bile of this shitface, the most truest of tests was about to begin. Our first fight with Margit was our introduction, but the next one was our midterm test. The first time we kicked his butt was honestly the last time I thought we would have met Margit, but boy, I was wrong, for the one true pimp was back for more. First round, for some reason, Margit had a vendetta against me and just decided violence was his only answer. None of my allies could damage him, so it became a 1v1, a duel in which I decided to oblige. I was going to beat him to death and prove I could end his little vindictive life. I played around with my food too much, got too complacent, too greedy. Within an inch of his life left, he felled me. No more half measures, it was time to get serious. We started off by offering Kumbushido's booty as a distraction. This was not Kumbushido's intention, but we rolled with it. Our bodies began moving on their own, our maces pounding him from behind, to the point that almost every back shot he took made him cry. He just couldn't handle our weight, our girth. We asked him every time we broke his back over the mountain, "How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?" Every hit was vindication for him belittling us, calling us Little Tarnished, showing him that the one true pimp should just hang up his cape and cane and head back to the retirement home. His death was satisfying, but alas, it was just a fake body double of Margit, just an apparition sent to test us. Either way, I hope to meet the one true pimp once more in the flesh so we can break his back one last time. Now after this, we took some time to explore around and not do any major story beats for a while. We just wanted to see what some of the surrounding areas had to offer, and boy, we had some most interesting things happen to us.
Now you're turning into the beast. That's right, channel 81 on your FM dial. And I want you just to take your hand and turn the volume real loud. I don't want to have to beat you up. 1, 2, 3. Never kidding.
Whoa!
Now moving on.
Burn.
Now that's fast.
And then you could be like,
Sap time. as you will see. I traded places with him, now Japan with me. You know, cheese. It's not a dream.
Don Perignon.
Beast time. Beast time.
Watch this. Oh, oh.
Oh,
Jesus.
I came with the pin flap.
You tried swinging the spear, idiot. Now watch this.
Right back.
What the?
Oh no! You just kicked me, bro!
Yeah, you called it.
Oh, you got him!
Compound. Oh shit!
Oh, what the?
Wait! Whoa, this is.
What the fuck?
He's WWEing! Oh,
Oh, what the heck?
ooh.
I'm dead.
Oh shit, bro. What
I
the
got cheesed.
fuck?
We gotta roll back.
Fucking send it again. Fucking move! Ow. No! Or I'll finish him.
Kill it! Kill it!
Yep. Oh, bad rolling? A bad rolling?
Holy cow.
Oh, it's not dead yet.
What?
Fuck out of here.
That's a wrap, baby.
After this, I decided to jump into a little bit of PvP, and well, let's just say it was an interesting time. I'm gonna make it absolutely clear that I am not good at PvP. My build is literally unga bunga, and I don't know any techniques like roll catching. I just wanted to give it a try and see if I'd have a good time. From what I've gathered in my PvP experience, a majority of martial players will actually respect the duel. As a bad red man, the opposing team has no obligation to respect the 1v1, yet a good amount of them love to just duke it out. Some take this opportunity to jump you, as is their right. After all, you're jumping into their world and trying to put them down. But what I've noticed is that filthy magic users are most likely the ones to not respect the duel, or just teabag you because they've min-maxed their builds and decided that pressing a singular button to nuke someone is skill and teabag worthy. One of my absolute favorite moments is when I did a 1v1 with this guy. We stood there, sizing each other up and not wanting to make the first move, and suddenly, we just had a single brain cell moment. We literally just unequipped our weapons and started to fist each other in the face. It was essentially the Pride 21 fight between Don Fry and Yoshihiro Takayama. We just stood there mashing each other's skulls in as if we didn't have any brain cells to lose. During our passionate manly battle, things were boiling hot and beyond steamy, despite us fighting in the frigid cold. At the end of our macho manly tussle in the nude, we decided to compare our weapons together. Mine was a massive hammer. Its size was beyond overbearing, needing 2 hands just to hold it, and its head was monstrously towering, making any who witnessed it weak to their knees and on the verge of collapse. His was a sleek and slender greatsword, polished to a sheen and having all the qualities of a well-balanced weapon. His Excalibur glowed a bright amber that, when gazed upon, widened anyone's eyes, and the blade itself was searing to the touch, ready to meet anyone's flesh. But alas, our night of passion had to come to an end. It was with great sadness that we could not keep our night-crawling fantasy going, and with a fervent breath, sweltering heat, and an intimate slash of his member, I was finished. I was defeated. Overall, yeah, PvP is pretty fun. After my stint in Ganker Alley, we got back on Torrent and galloped forward to our next objectives. While my previous experience with PvP was a high one, we're about to hit an all-time low with our next boss, the Fallingstar Beast. All I have to say about this boss is fuck this weird looking ox bug thingy. This guy absolutely blows to fight as an all melee build. The Fallingstar Beast has the same energy as the one person who leaves their shopping cart in the middle of a parking lot on a windy day, and then decides to climb into it to add some extra weight. The shopping cart torpedo is rude, erratic, and an absolute pain in the ass. In order to fight the rude-ass sentient shopping cart as a melee fighter, you first have to hit him, which requires you to chase him down as he moves everywhere in the parking lot. Sure, you could wait for him to come to you, but what good is it when the parking lot isn't leveled, which means both you and the ox can stub your toes on some godforsaken rock in the middle of the arena. I'll be real with you, I didn't have fun chasing the ox's ass just to get one hit in before it pussyfooted to the other side of the arena. It felt like I was being punished for picking up a hammer instead of going with the 50 cal sniper rifle magic build. Maybe that's my fault for going Oonga Boonga. Maybe it's Maybelline. We spent a ridiculous amount of time on this boss, more than I would have liked. There are some positives though, like one of us did actually enjoy the fight, and we did get the Snake Eater boss battle before fighting the Ox.
What a thrill.
Next on our list is the Rhea Lucaria Academy. We held off on this place for a very long time. Pretty much every session we had a small 30-second conversation of, should we head to Hogwarts today? And we would say that today's the day we go, only to get sidetracked by some place or dungeon and totally forget about Hogwarts until the next session. As a result, we traversed to Rhea Lucaria Academy at about level 85 and kitted out with some not so beginner gear. But I don't see that as a bad thing for one simple reason. Hogwarts is full of filthy magic users, those filthy magic users deserve to have their kneecaps smashed and their pancreases stabbed. So hitting those nerds with the full force of my Giant Crusher or being hit by the nothing personal kid, Nagakiba, was punishment for their life choices. This also included the good boy who was studying in the debate parlor, which, regrettably, we did have to scold and punish, since while studying is good, studying filthy magic is not so good. I'm sorry, little one. Now, it's not all knee shatterings and London stabbings. The Academy did have some pretty swell things going for it. For example, its really dorky elevator that leads to a random hentai maiden. A really dorky puzzle of Renala literally pointing to a sacred room.
He says go left.
You're
Go
right,
left.
she's just pointing left. You know what? You're right.
Go left.
Invisible wall. Invisible wall. She never lies.
No, you called it. Oh my god. I called it.
Yeah.
This absolutely hilarious Oonga Boonga boulder trap. And a surprising lack of hidden walls you'd think you'd find at a magic academy. It's almost like the architect of the academy was just fed up with all these weird wizard cosplayers and said, you know what, no more magic. I'm just gonna hire an engineer and you guys are going to be happy with it. Upon reaching Hogwarts Great Hall, we literally came across the Elden Ring version of local Facebook moms getting together for their monthly MLM meeting. What occurred next was something none of us had expected.
Ew.
Oh, yo, I'm pervert.
Needless to say, I was mildly perturbed that these Facebook moms were getting down and dirty with Kumshido's feet unconsentingly, and as such, we, being the paragons of virtue, had to show Renala's gaslight gatekeep girl boss group that consent is sexy, and the reward for pushing beyond the boundaries is mandatory kneecappings. If you girls were roleplaying as the quirky next-door paraplegic neighbor, Well, I'm sorry to say, you better invest in an actual wheelchair now. For any of you who are aspiring to start their own successful MLM group, take notes of Renala's 4-step program. Step 1. Indoctrinate your followers. Step 2. Have your followers message everyone about being their own boss. Step 3. When trouble befalls you and the feds are coming for your ass, offer up your followers as sacrificial pawns. And Step 4. When your group begins to crumble under the weight of your incompetence, gaslight everyone and take no responsibility. After the absolute mollywhopping the MLM moms received, Ronnie, I guess, pulled out the greatest feat a modern sorcerer can achieve. That is, domain expansion, self-perfection of only feats.
Send word far and wide.
In her sick-ass domain expansion, Renala straight up power walks right up to us like she's about to perform the sending upon our souls, and pulls the old blind warrior becomes more powerful when they open their eyes. Immediately, she fires off a knockoff Hollow Purple in an attempt to effectively end the fight in one shot and declare herself the strongest sorcerer of today, after which we immediately start breaking her fucking kneecaps. In a last-ditch attempt to end our free introduction to life with a mobile walker, she pulls out her trump card. With this treasure, I summon 4 rinky-dinky good boys. After that didn't work, we proceeded to continuously break her kneecaps again and again, and I gave her my coup de grace, the ground pound.
Big ass!
The mountainous ass cheek
Jesus
slammed
Christ.
so hard on her face that she fell into a brain-dead vegetable state, where the only thing she could think about was a time before the ass cheeks crushed her skull. Ronnie, my girl, if your intention was to make your mother seem like a formidable foe, I'm sorry, we really just walked up to her and showed her what a majority of Jujutsu Kaisen jumpings amount to. It was nothing personal. We just really hate filthy magic users. Before we get to our final encounter for this video, I wanted to take a quick detour and talk about Bell-Bearing Hunter. The Homeless Ball-Breaking Hunter is an optional boss that we came across randomly while camping out in the Caelid. I can only assume that the reason why he was so aggressive was because he had a stake in this timeshare, and like all timeshares, the Ball-Breaker was competing against hordes of retirees who had all the time on their hands. I guess you could say he was breaking his balls over his booking. Now, I realize from this perspective, the 3 of us were essentially squatters who trespassed onto his property without authorization and took refuge in his designated vacation spot. That definitely does not look good in court. But you know what else doesn't look good in court? The Homeless Ball-Breaking Hunter showing us that he's a local Londoner. This guy is actually kinda nuts. He comes out of nowhere with no warning and immediately asks, is this game too easy for you? The Homeless Ball-Breaking Hunter is actually kinda Giga Chad. He's one of the few enemies in Elden Ring to get jumped by all 3 of us at the same time, and then just turn around and spin to win until we were all dead. Adding on to that, this absolute monster of a man specced all his techniques into his aforementioned nickname. He has the Overhead Ball Slam, the Spin to Win Ball Slapper, the Giga Drill Ball Breaker, and his most prominent move, the Let Me Smell Your Taint Ball Crusher. Alas, while our balls were mangled and sore, they were not yet broken enough to stop us from rubbing our balls all over his defeated body. A worthy opponent indeed. So worthy that our next opponent was nothing but a gnat compared to the Homeless Ball-Breaking Hunter.
Where you going,
He's running!
jabroni? Where you going? He died! He died!
Who did he die
He
to?
died to the dog.
After we iced our sensitive parts, we journeyed forward into the Caelid and found ourselves at the foot of Redmane Castle and facing against Radahn's best on the front lines. After which, we attended a festival and heard the tale of General Radahn and his insatiable hunger for the Burger King Whopper. During the war between the demigods, Radahn saw a commercial for the Whopper. He knew he had to have one during the bloody war between him and Melania. When he acquired the Whopper, he tasted the holy burger, its toasted sesame bun, its succulent grilled charred meat, the medley of crisp vegetables, and the perfect blend of sauces. All these things combined into the perfect burger. After eating the Whopper, Radahn absolutely lost his mind. Indeed, it wasn't the Scarlet Rot that did him in, it was the absolute power of the Whopper that made him into a former shell of himself. Now he wanders the Whaleless Dunes, in search of evidence of the maddening burger, driving him to gorge upon ally and enemy alike just for even the smallest resemblance of taste and vindication that this burger was ever real. After his tale, we found ourselves hit with a golden fog door. This was the arena, and the only way to leave was to put down this rabid man-dog. We descended on the elevators towards the arena and entered through the mirror, where we were greeted by Starscourge Radahn and his 50 cal sniper rifle and MG42. Our fight was joined by others in the festival, all eager to show Radahn the superior burger known as the McChicken. Some of our compatriots included the Milady, the inside of us are two wolves. Our boy Alexander, the Giga Pony Jar Project. This guy stealing my hammer, the foremost expert on powdered shungite, and the morally ambiguous, nay, absolutely upstanding local businessman. We were the McGangbang. Our Javengers group was ready for the assault against the Whopper Lord, and he was ready to cast us down for being filthy clown heathens. He was ready to show us that he truly was the Burger King. His attacks were fierce. Many of his swings were wild and unruly, cleaving any of us without rhyme or reason, and all we could do was stand against his massive swings and take swipes at his knees and mighty steed. But that was not all. His curse technique was only for the worthiest of Gigachads. His curse technique was gravitational manipulation. It pulled us in for another round of corporal punishment. When the Javengers had finally gotten the Burger King on the ropes, Radahn pulled out all the stops. The kid's gloves were coming off, and it was time to reveal his maximum technique. Supreme Art, Dwayne Johnson. Flying down from the top turnbuckle, Radahn becomes the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile, the God-shattering star, the megalith at this day.
Watch out for this guy!
If anyone is still alive after the thermal barrack bomb, the Burger King shows his final technique, the King Supreme. For what is a king without his pawns? The King Supreme is the tried and true 1-2 combo. Radahn summons his floating goons, and when the time is right, hands you a nice Whopper combo of jab, cross, and then smash. Truly, a most divine technique. But alas, with all kings must fall the crown. For such a resplendent warrior and fearsome opponent, the expectation is for him to fall in such a grand way. However, not all legends have legendary endings. There was no fanfare, no bombastic finishers, just 3 warriors putting down a rabid dog and his emaciated horse.
We got him!
Oh my god!
After the McGangbang put the Burger King to sleep, we looked up into the sky to see thousands of souls released from the gluttonous belly of Radahn. The souls were free from the endless torment of the Whopper playing on loop within Radahn's soul. Now free to seek the McChicken, to taste the delectably crispy yet decadently juicy chicken meat and its creamy McChicken sauce. Our job here was done, but our journey to become the Elden Lord was to continue. That's it for Act 1 of the Elden Ring series. I very much hope you enjoyed it. I hope to be able to make the next part relatively soon, as I absolutely love this game. But in the meantime, if you did enjoy this video, stay a while and check out some of my other stuff if you want. As always, thank you so much for watching. More to come in the upcoming weeks. Take care for now, paisanos.